We are there at your pleasure, and without knowing that there's a month-to-month or the reason for that, we don't know what you want us to do.
I'm not certain who placed that on the agenda on a month-to-month. It was voted on last month. If you weren't notified, or there wasn't a presence from your company here last month to actually be notified of that decision, I apologize for that. But
evidently someone knew that or is stating that. Let me say this too. It has been very difficult as well because whatever is going on is leaking out. There have been several employees that have come to us because there are people running around inside and outside of the Dorchester telling people, don't worry about everything, they're going to be gone. We have people who come here on a regular basis to this meeting who have approached our marketing director at events letting us know that we're gone. I mean, so it's like, okay, fine, but there's some legalities here. And if you know, so our feeling was if you don't want us, so, that's okay. I mean, you know, you asked us to do a job, and we're trying to do it.
But the takeaway is, let bygones be bygones. Let's fix it. Let's try to move forward together. Awaken Alternatives would certainly like that.
So with those things that you were hearing, that initiated this letter giving us 17 days to respond.
We should retract the letter.
So we should retract the letter.
Yeah, this was...
And develop an understanding of what is the purpose of month to month. I mean, is that because of us, or is it because of the village's situation? I mean, what is the...
No, actually, wait.
And what do we expect?
Instead of going down that road.
Yeah, because some of us wasn't privy to all this stuff you said that somebody was telling you. I don't know who could have been coming and telling you whatever they were telling you. Put up.
And telling the employees.
Give us this letter and say,
inciting
we got
employees.
17 days to
How
give you a
about this?
contract or you guys leave it. So.
With the village, has the village got something in mind? Do you think we could work over a 30, 45, 60-day period from now? Awaken Alternatives would retract that letter. Could we get your approval to work together for 30, 45, 60 days to try to come to an agreement? How about, is that a positive way to go forward?
now, that would be an approach, but here again, in 30 days, you have a month yet. You know, I think what needs to be done is get a consensus of the board as to be quite frank with you, if they want you or they don't want you. And I can understand when you say a month to month, you know, how can we operate on a month to month when you're going to pull the trigger and say we're gone? And it does make it kind of difficult to prepare and or administer a management plan. So I would think it would be the consensus of this board, and they can tell you right now whether they in fact do want you, whether in fact they want you to go 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, whatever the case may be. Who wants to start?
Well, since the letter is retracted, we need to work, if everybody is in agreement, we need to work diligently with our attorneys. Just like the other contract that was handed out for the catering, same thing needs to happen here. It did not happen overnight. It took some time because it was going back and forth. There was a lot of going back and forth. And for these past 3 months, you all got it in order. We've passed inspections. The only thing that we were cited on is a minor technicality, and it had nothing to do with any of the seniors, how they were treated, or anything that has to do with the Dorchester.
So we fixed the operations.
Yeah, you did.
Genevieve worked, does a
You
great
fixed the
job.
operations because the operations for a couple of years before any of us sat up here, the operations were declining. They were up and then they fell. But if it's an agreement with the board, maybe we can work together to to put together a contract that will be, it will be a cohesive, what's the word I'm looking for? It'll be a cohesive agreement for all of us, so that the Dorchester can grow and it won't be such a financial burden on the village or Awakened Alternatives. Because with the numbers that you showed us before, with the plans that we had talked about, within a couple of years, it would not only would it start making money, it would be a self-sufficient entity on its own. And that's where we need to get to. And one of the major things is what we talked about with the SLIP. We are going to talk more about that, but we need to get that, because that, I fight diligently for that property because I really believe in that property, the beauty and the grandeur of it. So I'm hoping with the approval of the board, we can work something out. But like I said, I am a lone voice. There are 5 more here.
Well, just to comment on something that you said, getting the census up is the biggest issue.
Right.
In terms of helping it to get to a point of not draining the village. One of the things that we cited is that we have brought in 3 residents thus far in the 4.5 months we've been there, and there are 3 waiting to come in. It would be 4 if the person was not 62 versus 65. So in the 4.5 months we've been there, with the 3 that are waiting to come in, not waiting, but being processed to come in, there will have been 7 altogether. Is that correct, Ms. Dyer? 6 or 7? 6 people coming in. It takes time, as you know, to build a census, and we certainly didn't expect to have that many that quickly. That was not a projection, but we're getting a lot of activity because we're doing a lot of marketing. And not knowing if you're going to be around from month to month, it's like where you're putting your name out there, you're putting your reputation out there, we're working really hard, and we're like, should we just hold until we know, or, you know, what is the hindrance from doing a long-term contract? If the issue is, and that's part of what I've heard, that then you're stuck with a contract and you've got to buy us out or something like that, we're not interested in creating a contract that has a buyout clause. We're interested in providing services and being there ongoing until such time as the village decides what it is that they feel that they can or need to do.
My only concern was the length of time that it would take to get it to where it would be profitable, because the residents are paying the tab on it, and we are losing quite a bit of money. And so I think that they should have some input and need to know exactly what's going on with their tax dollars. And I think that if that number to get to turn it around could be quicker, then it would make the board move a little bit differently on it, because it's a big drain. It's losing a lot of money on an annual basis, and I do like what I see and what you've done over there, but at the same time, you know, I think we're at $800 to $1 million a year that we're losing, and so how do you ask somebody to continue to do that when you said it was going to take, you could probably bring in 12 people a year. I think the number you gave was 3 a quarter. So 12 a year means we would, and somebody said the number would be about 75 and it would be profitable. So based on that, we would be 3 years away before it's profitable. And if we lose $1 million a year, that could be $3 million.
That's what this is.
Yeah, I certainly understand the financial situation, and I understand the reason for decisions along those lines. All we're saying is we're willing to be there until such time as you either make some changes or decide whatever else it is you're doing. Are we your management company? Are we not? that's the kind of thing. I think the bullet points that we put together kind of outline for you a fair direction for all of this, and that includes letting you know that all we need is just notice. We just need to impress upon everyone that you can't tell us today that tomorrow is over, and there's a lot at stake that has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with the state, the license, the residents, the media, the problems that could occur if it's not done in a methodical and a complete and a professional way.
One of the things that I was just making mention to Trustee Pearson was the slip. That is a major thing. To start that process, I don't know how long it will take to actually get rid of it, but Mr. Urban, going in that direction, selling the slip alone would bring in ballpark, because we don't know exactly, but a ballpark figure, maybe, in the area.
$150,000 to $250,000. Know that the
Can we stick to
No,
the management contract? Can we
this is-
two different?
Robert, I'm so sorry. This needs to be explained.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I don't mean to cut you off or anything like that, but people need to understand. Okay, that needs to be explained.
the slip on the open market, I've been told, it would range from $150,000 to $250,000. It's important to note it would have to be approved by the state.
Excuse me for interrupting, but why don't you explain to the public what a slip is?
SLIF is a supportive living agreement that was set up by the state of Illinois Health Department many years ago. To qualify to be a SLIF participant, you pretty much have to be a Medicaid, not Medicare, recipient. And your dollars, all but $90 a week, go to your livelihood of supporting you to live there. So as an example, simple math, if you get $190 a week, 100 of it's going to the company that you're living in, $90 stays in your pocketbook. The SLIFs, when they were issued many years ago, were fast and furious because the state saw that there was a need to support Medicaid recipients. They couldn't afford to get into regular adult daycare centers. So they created this. There has been a freeze on SLIFs for at least 3 years, where none have been issued. The rumors all over the street and down in Springfield is they are going to be floodgated open coming after the swearing in of the new governor. That he sees the need to open up the SLIFs again. I bring that up only because if it is opened up, SLIFs cost nothing to get from the state. But right now, you can't get one from the state. And that's what I have to say about SLIFs.
So yet another corner.
It's going to be working like that.
Right. Go ahead.
You know, if there has been some indecisiveness on this board in regards to the direction that they wanted to see the Dorchester go into. And whether they sold the Dorchester or put it out to someone else to manage or whatever the case may be, it can't be done overnight.
Yeah.
You know, just my opinion, to ask you to do a month-to-month and ask you to plan on managing properly is kind of difficult. If the decision by this board was to get rid of the Dorchester because of the costs that it costs to maintain it, then there's a process to do that. It couldn't happen overnight. It probably would take 90 to 6 months, 90 days to 6 months to even put that plan in place. Because of the process, the things that you have to do with the state to make sure that those residents there are taken care of properly and everything is in place. So I would ask this board to reconsider and to consider to put something in place that has a management team to be able to operate this Dorchester in the coming months. You got the holidays coming up. You're going to have visitors coming there for the residents that are there. And it certainly wouldn't be a good thing on our behalf to not have it properly managed. So I don't make the decisions, these board members make the decision. And they have to come to a consensus in regards to giving you a contract, whether it's not an additional 90 days, you mentioned 45 or 60 days or 90 days, whatever the case may be, to make sure that it's operated properly until they make a determination on what they want to actually do to Dorchester.
I have a couple of questions I'd like to ask. When you came in, Ms. Thomas, how many residents did you have?
There were about, there were 40.
40? And how many do we have today?
What's our census today?
2 to 3 on
No, without the people that are living there right now, not people that are on hold.
Actually, it's back to 40 because we had 2 die and another moved out. So every time we move a person, a person leaves.
Okay. Mr. Urban, how much are we losing each month that Dorchester's over?
It varies month to month. Year to date, at the last time I looked at, which was for the month of October, the village had already invested over $700,000 this fiscal year. That means from May 1st of 14 till the beginning of, or the middle of October of 14.
So it's 6 months.
Yes.
And so how can we afford to keep paying out this?
It's becoming more and more difficult as time goes on. I've sent out a few emails to the board illustrating that we cannot continue to perform the services that we're used to giving to the residents and the business community if we stay on this path. There has to be some drastic decisions made. There has to be some money made. I had pointed out that at the time, when I sent those emails, there were only 39 residents there. It is the decision of the board. I mean, it's not up to me. It's not up to any of the staff sitting here. We will do our best to manage the money and continue, but it's becoming more and more difficult to do that. The board just received the 2012 audit. It clearly states in 2012 that the Dorchester cost over $1 million to support it. We're in the process of doing the 2013 audit. I don't think it's going to be any different. It'll be at least, if not more than $1 million loss. The revenue in the town, the tax base is the real estate tax. The real estate tax collection is down. The EAV is down. We're taking in less and less every year.
So when we run out of money, who's going to take care of the residents?
Residents.
We can't look out after somebody we don't have money that
One
we
of the
don't
things you
have.
want to consider is the leases currently are $1,300. So there would be very few places that they could go when many of the places cost $3,500 to $4,000 a month. So you could be displacing at least 20 people that will find it difficult to find housing with their current incomes, their current pensions. If the SLIP is gone, then you got folks that are paying somewhere between $600 and $800 a month. So again, they will find it difficult to find something that inexpensive as a complete lifestyle. So they're very hard decisions to make, but these folks would have trouble if Dorchester's not there. It's so much less in its cost than the other facilities in the area. It wouldn't be an easy transition for them just to go to another supported living facility or to another independent retirement facility.
But what's bad for us as the board that's here and the mayor, when we run out of money, what do we do with the citizens, the residents that are there? We don't have any money to support them any longer because we are already in debt. We owe $1 million to a tip that we haven't repaid. We owe the city of Chicago the old water bill money. We owe other people. We have a list of people that's on a list that we owe money to. We can't just keep putting money out there that we don't have. So we have to find a way to do it so everybody is taken care of. Because I think of those people as my parents that's in there. At any given point, those could have been my parents. So we have to try to get the best for them so they're not left out in the cold, so to speak.
Well,
So
with
the
that said,
opportunity with-
Mr., I'm sorry, before I lose, Mr. Urban, what happened with I forgot the name of it, the dollars you were trying to get for the tips?
The tax anticipation?
Yes.
That money is going to be
I
used
know.
for the bonds, not for the tips.
Okay. But what has happened with that?
We're in the process, it's in the bank's hands right now. I was told by our bank representative today that we should receive our final notification. They're looking for another document I have to get to them. We should have an answer and finalize the deal by the end of the week. But that money's already spent.
I know, but, because I'm only referring to that because Trustee Mendel referred to the bills and different monies that were owed to different things. And I knew that we had this, that we were
We have a bond
anticipating.
payment due December 1st
Right,
of $2.8 million.
right.
Our primary concern right now is proper management of the Dorchester.
Right.
If you leave in 13 days, there will not be a management company in place to manage the Dorchester. I doubt if we can even get a management company in place
Right.
in 13 days. So this board has to make a decision tonight, or within 13 days. Otherwise, that way.
Well,
So-
I mean, if we just consider the difficulty it is in bringing in residents. I'm hearing the possibility of selling the slip. So are we supposed to market for the slip? Are we supposed to continue to bring those people in? That is a 30 to 60-day process to get people in, get 5 years of bank statements and get them set up to come into a slip, get on the Medi system so that we can bill for them. It's just so much involved to be on a month-to-month. Do you see what I'm saying? And Trustee Hunt, in all due respect, I did not mention in that letter that we refused to take a month-to-month because we didn't know about a month-to-month. So, it wasn't that we were trying to, this is not an indictment on the board and the village at all. All this was trying to establish that what are we supposed to do? We have to be responsible to those residents. We have to protect the license. We have to protect the liability. We cannot be told tomorrow is over in 15 days or 30 days. That's not even enough time to transfer these people.
Right.
What you will be under as a village and a board and the legal entity is unreal. I can't even begin to explain to you how you cannot walk out. That would be an abandonment. Do you see what I'm saying? So all we were trying to do was to say, this is serious. We can't just sit here with no decisions, no understanding of which way we're going. We're not interested in leaving. We're interested in working with you to do whatever it is that you need to do. If that means you have to close it, transfer the people, whatever you have to. All we're saying is, tell us what you want to do, and we're willing to do it.
Mr. Irvin, you got any suggestions here?
Well, I think there's a couple of things besides I get to the suggestions. The documents that you were presented with today are the same documents that you received in this booklet that was presented by Awakened Alternatives several weeks ago. I think it needs to be addressed. You're talking about whether it's 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. Is it at the current dollar amount, or is it at what was presented weeks ago and tonight? Is there going to be an increase in what they're going to get? Or is it just going to be a 30, 60, 90 day at the current rate? I think that has to be decided first tonight.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that from either side, whether they're willing to stay on and work through negotiations at the current rate, or stay on at these rates
I didn't see
during
that.
negotiations.
I didn't see that. Was that an increase in the rates that,
Yes.
from the initial contract?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
It's in your booklet, I believe, Mayor.
Because we were asked to present what were the terms that we would accept for a contract.
And I
the
asked for that
interim
because it
agreement.
was already presented at a prior meeting. They're the same numbers.
And Awaken has been managing at a discounted rate that's
Yeah.
way under what you were paying your old manager. Don't know how the old manager